it is time for the Death Battle cast. There's 5 of us.
My
What the hell's
God,
going on?
Wow.
It's
That's
nonsense.
extra.
It's going to be crazy today.
Yeah, prepare yourselves. We can barely stay on the rails with 4.
Oh boy. All right. Well, welcome to Death Battle Cast. We are the cast and crew of Death Battle, and we've been doing this Death Battle show as of 3 days ago for 10 goddamn years.
It's crazy, dude.
What the hell have we been doing with our lives, people?
Making
Killing
a lot of
fictional
fictional characters
pissing
kill
off,
each other.
Pissing off fanboys around the world.
As always, I'm Ben. I am the voice of Whiz in the show. Director, been running the show since it started 10 years ago. Also, there's construction going on with both my neighbors. So we'll figure that out as we go. Perfect timing, guys. We'll figure it out.
Ben got on the call and he's just like, "Hey, can you hear?" And he's just like this is the loudest saw sound. We're like, "Yeah, Ben, we can hear it."
Noise. It's
I
real
can't
bad.
wait to see them like saw through your background and just like come
Just
into your like
see
kitchen. And be
somebody
like,
fall.
oops, sorry, guy. Like
I would not be surprised. It's happening. Anyway, I'll let everybody else introduce themselves so I can mute this.
Sam, you're next to Ben. Go.
Yeah, let's go right to left. Hi, I'm Sam. You know me. I've been here a while. Next.
Hey, I'm Nick. I've also been here a while till I wasn't. Now I'm back and I'm editing Death Battle.
Yeah.
And hey, I'm Chad. I voiced Boomstick since the beginning. The beginning.
See, I was hoping that would take a lot longer, so
you
we
can
had to
mute.
bring this noise back.
Why, we were put under pressure. We had to go fast.
All right, well, hopefully that, takes care of itself, and they all go at lunch break at some point. I asked, and they were like, lunch break? I was like, well,
They eat
surely you
construction.
eat too. Anyway, so, oh God, we'll get past it. All right, while that's going on, we have a sneak peek. We might as well just go ahead and jump right into it of the next episode of Death Battle. This is the penultimate episode of Death Battle of this season of Death Battle.
Yeah.
Like
everybody,
it's like getting louder.
everybody's watching live. If you're watching in the archive, we're just gonna have to embrace the saw. Okay,
Yeah.
like Ben trying to dodge it. This whole episode is gonna be a huge pain in the ass.
Don't do that physically, but you know.
I mean,
All
if
right.
it's a foam one, I don't know.
It's
All right, let's just watch the preview.
We do have a sneak peek for Sanji versus Rock Lee, which is coming up next week. We are less than a week away. This is Josh Kazemi's second episode of Death Battle to direct. I'm very excited. So let's go ahead and jump into that little sneak peek right now.
I refuse to eat this. It's far too mild, lacking in the fiery youth of true spicy curry.
Mild. This is the most perfectly balanced curry around.
I see your fighting skills match your skill in cooking.
Show your chef some respect.
Respect? I'm a paying customer, and that curry was awful. Don't you like that? Look at me like that.
Woo!
Well, that's one way
This
to
one.
end the sneak
Yeah.
peek.
Yeah.
This one's super, super fun. I love this
Just a
episode. It
little
came out
taste.
really good.
Clearly, if
Yeah,
we're getting
y'all clearly
into
had like a lot of fun with it.
Drunk Lee so quickly, a lot's gonna happen in this fight.
Oh yeah.
So very excited for this one to air. Of course, Luis has been helping direct the fight animation, and has been having a great time putting that together. I imagine because
Oh,
it's
heck
one
yeah.
hell of a fight.
Yeah, I love both of these characters, and they're super fun to work with, and even like stuff like that you really don't see animated in any kind of form, basically for like fan style animation or whatever. You don't see like Sanji in his like I guess it's fine if we say it's Sanji in his race suit, and basically and like doing Rock Lee in his drunk form as well. Like we don't see that much, so it's kind of cool to be able to mesh those things in, as well as like Rock Lee using his skates and stuff. Just kind of want to throw out there so people know that he's using gates. It's fine.
Oh yeah, it's Death Battle. They go all out. We're not
not
gonna give them the raid suit and the 8 gates. Like
for sure.
What show are you watching that's been around for 10 years?
Speaking of
For
dates,
sure.
Luis, I love that you bought like a folding, like changing screen for your background to block that window.
I needed to get rid of that like just like
the tunnel to God.
Light.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as light diffusers go, it's working pretty well. Like it's doing a good job. Like you're good.
Yeah.
Sam, I've seen several compliments in the chat regarding your awesome beard.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're getting there.
We're
We're getting
digging
there
it.
these days.
Has Alex yelled at you yet to go get it trimmed again?
No, see, here's the thing. Like going outside, COVID, we all know, dangerous. Don't want to go outside, especially because getting a beard trim, it's not like you can keep your fucking mask on, right? Like, it's like not the thing. So the situation is that I've told her, like, I don't know how to do it. You can do it. And so it's all the pressure's on her. And she's like, oh, we should trim your beard today. And then, like, she forgets about it. It's fine. And I'm just like, well, it's you. It's on you. It's been fucking, it's brilliant. It's the best solution I've ever found. So like this.
If there's such a
It's
thing
top tier.
as a really tiny mask that covers your nose and your mouth, so you can get your beard trimmed.
Just like a
Nose
maskini
plug?
kind of thing. Like you get one for the nose, one for the mouth. Like, is that the play?
I just wonder if there's
I
such
mean,
a thing. It'd be funny.
We can make one.
Yeah.
We can make
Yeah.
one.
Dude, it's long enough that you can like put it in pigtails if you wanted to. Like,
I don't think you can do that with a beard, but yeah, you can. Yeah,
Go full
either-
Viking. It'd be great.
Yeah, I
got
want
a
to do
ponytail
like
going on.
before I lose the beard, I want to do like the Viking braids just to get back to the clear heritage of my white personness.
Yep.
See if it's cool, and maybe just go throw an axe outside or something, and be like, yeah, I could.
See if it enhances your ability to throw bladed
Yeah,
weapons around.
You'd think if you have a braided beard, yeah, exactly. Like you get some sort of like buff, right? It only makes sense to me.
I think it. Oh man. Oh.
So anyway,
How's the
Sanji
sauce
Rock Lee,
doing?
this is great.
I'm waiting.
Oh, those are good.
Okay.
So
So
speaking of buffs, the other day I was going out to exercise with my girlfriend and it was cold, and she was like, I was like, oh, this is gonna be annoying. My ears are gonna get cold. She's like, oh, I'll put a buff on. And like the first thing in my brain, because I play too many games and stuff, I was like, this woman's had prayer fortitude the whole time. Like, and like I didn't know. Apparently, a buff is like a thing you put over, like it's like a wrap thing that like. And I didn't know, and like I was very confused for a minute. And that was my short story to hopefully cover the fact that Ben has saws going on in his apartment. Let's see if it was enough, Ben.
It's gone for now.
Yeah,
All right.
it was just enough. Great
But
small story.
this gives me the perfect opportunity to just say for one thing, Sanji versus Rock Lee is premiering Sunday the 13th for first members and the 14th on YouTube. Like we said, I believe last week, Sanji's being voiced by Yang Ye, who's a gaming YouTuber. If you haven't checked him out, he's awesome. And then Rock Lee is being voiced by Mark Phillips of RCD World, which is super cool. I know Josh was very excited to get both these guys involved. So it's a really fun episode. I think this is basically our last Sprite fight of the year. So Luis and his team are pulling out all the stops for it. It's going to be super exciting. But because we have been doing this for 10 years now, we figured that this episode of Cast should be all about what we've been doing for the 10 years and the craziness that Death Battle is. And of course, we brought Nick on.
You did?
Well, yeah, look, there he is right there.
Oh.
And Nick,
You have hot sauce
the
behind
top
you.
10?
I do.
I see it.
oh my gosh.
He is never far from hot sauce. I told you I was going to derail this episode. It's just very on brand.
It's
I
just
noticed it right
Tabasco.
away.
I mean,
It's
Well,
the classic too.
Especially
Yeah.
because we all like Our desks are also our like lunch tables. I'm sure everyone who works
Yeah.
from home eats at their
I'm not
desk.
gonna
so
show you
I
gotta
don't know
guys
what
it
you're
is
talking
my
about,
desk
Sam. I
right
do
now.
not have a McRib box sitting right here. Okay.
You were eating a McRib? Let's not get that derailed. Sorry. Back to Ben.
Well, I was just
Because
gonna
I
say,
could go on.
I'm sure Nick has like a Batman utility belt with a bunch of different hot sauces, stuck in there, ready to go.
Ben,
Yeah.
Ben, I have a bat layer of hot sauces that I keep hidden below the bedroom.
You want this one, Nick?
Yeah, sure.
I-
What is it?
It's Extreme Regret. Caden
Sweet.
sent it to me, and I had to eat it on her show, and I put it in my mouth and swallowed it, and then projectile vomited. So
I'm
Do you
sold.
keep it next to you? Do you keep it
so
next to you
hey,
to remind yourself?
real quick, everybody watching, make sure to take that out of context and post that around everywhere. It's perfect.
oh, great,
Oh man.
wonderful.
Was there footage of you projectile vomiting?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
I
nice.
got
I'll
into
have
the
to find
trash
that
can.
later.
I threw up hard. Like I had a moment. It was really spicy. And then I just started some hiccups, and then it was just like my whole body was just like, get this out now. And I almost didn't have a trash can, and I was like, just in case. And I'm glad I did, because I threw up real hard.
Hey, Chad, do you keep that close so you get reminded of it every single day?
Nah, just lazy.
Okay.
It's just been sitting there ever since.
Yep, it's been sitting
taunting
right
you.
here. Lord
right.
knows I'm not gonna do anything with it.
Well, the reason why I brought up Nick is because he's famous for a certain show that he used to work on for a while, the Top 10. And we
Worked
figured
on that longer than Death Battle's been around. Well,
Yeah,
maybe
like-
not at this point. Maybe not at this point, because Top 10's been off for 2 years now, I think.
a little
basically.
while.
Yeah.
Moved
Yeah,
around.
long time. Long
Yeah.
time.
But we figured this might be a great time to come up with something that a lot of people I've seen post videos about and ask us about. What are our top 10 episodes of Death Battle? And that's what we're going to talk about when we get to the next segment, which is what's going on. I meant to do this earlier. What's going on? Let's go.
Masters of transitions. That is
Yes,
us.
exactly.
So
Hey, I've
great.
got this like buzzing
Professional.
happening on this side and then hammering happening on this side. It's a lot going on right now.
Yeah.
All right. So we have over 130 episodes of Death Battle to sift through. So this is going to take a while. I'm not really sure how we want to go about this, but I figure we could do it kind of like how we would narrow down all our top 10s and just sort of spitball and see what we come up with.
You mean like the behind the scenes process of Top 10 back in the day,
Do
where
we?
we present a topic, everyone spitballs ideas and reasonings, and everybody just kind of comes
Yeah.
to a mostly vaguely general consensus, that kind of
Yep.
process. All right.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Exactly.
Yeah, and there's usually
And-
one of two very serious points of contention.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's going to come up. But anyway, we are watching the chat as well. So let us know what you think your favorite top death battles would be and what should be in this top 10 list and what shouldn't. And let's go ahead and figure it out. So what is a death battle that pops up in everybody's mind right away? It should be in the top 10 death battles.
Starscream
I
Rainbow
think-
Dash.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think that's a shoe in for the low teens. That's like a 9. That's like an easy 9, right? Like we probably just get out of the way and be like, that's a 9. But
Yeah. There
it's
has to
definitely
be
not
classics.
super high. I don't think it's super high. Like I don't think it's in the like huge like that's not number 1. There's
It
no
wa-
world that's number 1.
Yeah,
It
it's not
was
everyone.
I mean, for a while there, I think it was pretty close to number 1.
Well, hold on really
Uh,
quickly. How are we ranking this? Are we kind of going off of like how important it was to the show, like how big the matchup was, how much fun it was to work on, like what kind of metrics
Everything.
are we using? Just okay.
Yeah.
So just kind of trying
That's a
to
really
take
good
everything into-
question, Nick, and I wish
Yeah.
we had an answer.
Okay.
Everything.
All right. I kind of want to throw out Power Rangers versus Voltron because that was the single
Yeah.
most fun that I ever had researching a death battle.
Oh
'Cause,
God, it was inexpensive.
Yeah, it was. But I think the end result was worth it as well. The animation was so awesome, especially for the time. Like Death Battle has every episode like pushes the boundaries in some way, I think. And that's kind of what Power Rangers versus Voltron did when that one was a brand new episode.
Push the boundaries of our bank for sure.
Of the bank.
So,
well,
Yeah.
okay. We've mentioned it a couple times in the past that Power Rangers versus Voltron is one of the most expensive episodes. It's more so because this was like pre-Rooster Teeth, and we didn't really have a process or a team for building models and animating a giant, multi-character battle like that. It was just Torian, and we would. I think Reed was interning at the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Reed was an intern at the time, who now is a coworker here at Rooster Teeth,
Yes.
working layout in Ruby, I believe.
Mhm. But not when we started
Right.
Rangers Voltron,
Right.
because Rangers
Yeah.
Voltron was like a multi-year project because it was originally intended to be in season 2, I believe. When did that come out? Was that season 3?
What
It was
even is a
originally
season in the
Yeah.
early history of Death Battle?
So here's the reason this was expensive was due to mistakes with modeling. So Torian was like, I know a guy who can do the models. We're like, okay, great. So we pay him, and then the models come in.
I remember this.
I cannot tell you how shitty those models were, like for both the people and the Zords. Oh Lord, it was like
They weren't even symmetrical.
they weren't
some of them.
proportioned correctly. It was like you could look at it and you'd be like, that's like that when you would go to the store and there was like the name brand toy and there was like the clear like cheap ass knockoff of the toy that was like barely a shape. Yeah. So we had all those and we're like sitting around and we're just like, fuck, like we can't use these. Like we absolutely can't use these.
Well, the models for the Zords, not the fully formed Voltron and Megazord and all that stuff, but like the models for the Zords that were custom made, they always reminded me of those little rubber things that you put it in water and it
The
eventually
foam
grows and
dinosaurs?
stuff. Yeah, but it looked like the ungrown up ones of those, but like just really deformed.
Yeah, so the first things we
It's
needed
not
to get
great.
were we needed to get the Zords made and we needed to get the pilots for the Voltron
God,
Force.
the pilots, yeah.
Even back then, I don't think we planned on having the characters appear, and it was just going to be the Zords. We were still sort of like playing with like how far we were going to go. If the Zords came in well, then maybe we could make sure we could get the lions and then the giant robots and then the characters. Like there were priorities, and so we didn't even get lion. I think we might have commissioned one lion from him just to see, because the idea was we would just recolor it.
Yeah, I think we had one lion and the Zords, and then it was the Voltron pilots, the paladins. I remember that specifically because the faces were so weird. And then we were like, and then I remember Torian taking the helmet off of one, and it had another face on top of its head. I don't know why.
Oh yeah, in places like the hair. Yeah.
Oh,
I really hope this random person isn't like still watching our podcast, or else he's gonna feel like shit. I mean, he got paid. They got paid.
But we realized that we're just like, we just need to find somebody else. Like this wasn't a like, let's go back to them with notes. This was a very clear like, cut our losses on this one and find somebody else. And then that's when we had Reed, who was interning, and she's like, I can model. And we're like, okay, great. And so I actually gave her my Voltron toy, which is right here. Oh, it's in pieces because the children got to it. Anyway,
shit.
I have the original Megazord. And I have all its little pieces and how they attach and like all that stuff. And so I gave her this. She had it for like ever. And then she actually built her models based on my Megazord toy,
which is dope.
Yep.
But that's what you see in the actual fight.
I think we talked about it at one point because when we first got the models, we're like, can we just like stop motion this maybe?
Oh, we've been talking about doing a stop motion one for years now. I still really want to do that.
That
Gumby
episode
versus
definitely
Rudolph
jumped around quite a bit. I'm pretty sure we originally intended Power Rangers versus Voltron to be season 2 in 2015. That was the original intention, and then it didn't actually get finished and premiere until 2017. So it took a little while.
Do you remember back when that idea was first pitched and every death battle was sprites? And I think we asked some guy to do some commission work for like custom Voltron sprites.
So that wasn't a request. Somebody reached out to me. This is like way back.
Yeah,
somebody reached out to me asking if we wanted sprites for Voltron and Megazord, and I was like, maybe. And they just started working on it and started sending me stuff, and I was like, I mean, We don't plan on doing this episode, but I guess if you make sprites, maybe, I don't know. Like nothing was necessarily agreed upon or whatever, so it never went anywhere. But every so often they would just show up and be like, "Well,"
but we never got all of them.
Here we go.
And I wanted to do that fight so bad.
We did.
But real quick, you know what's always delicious? Our sponsor, Omaha Steaks. Well, not the sponsor itself. I mean the steaks. Right. 2020's holiday season has been a long time coming and is naturally going to be rough for some people, but Omaha Steaks can make it worth the wait. These steaks are perfectly aged, 100% American grain finished, with excellent tenderness and flavor. And I'm not just reading from some document, I'm talking from experience. They're really good. And it's not just steaks. The Deluxe Grillers assortment includes a wide variety of entrees, sides, and desserts. Deliver the perfect gift or send yourself something special with Omaha Steaks delivered directly to your doorstep. That's the world's greatest steaks, plus premium meats, easy meals, everything you need for a memorable gift. Or to stock up for yourself. Why not? Get a jump on gift shopping with Omaha Steaks today, all backed by a 100% money-back guarantee. Also, when you order the Deluxe Grillers assortment, you get 4 free Omaha Steaks burgers and a free digital meat thermometer. This one, actually, it's pretty legit. By using the code DBC at omahasteaks.com. An awesome deal you won't find anywhere else. All right. Now back to the cast.
We should move on.
Yeah, as I said, we can talk about that
curious
episode forever.
I'm really curious what the final price tag for that episode was, but I don't think any.
I don't remember, but I remember it being significantly larger than anything we'd done before, and then also the salt in the wound with that one was, despite how I love that episode and it was an awesome fight, for some reason people didn't give a shit, at least at the time when we dropped it, and so it was
not to the extent that they needed to justify
spoilers,
the cost.
The character that everybody, or the characters that everybody wanted to win, didn't. So it wasn't shared around. That's all. That's it.
Speaking of interesting ones, Wily Robotnik, I saw a lot in the chat, which I do kind of agree kind of deserves a spot on the list because it's fairly unique. I believe that's the season 1 finale, right? No. Season 1 finale is Goku.
It was Ben's finale.
Yeah, that's your finale.
The season Ben finale.
Wily versus Robotnik was a secret plan of mine to convince Craig that I needed an animator.
Yeah.
Dude,
I intentionally made something so fucking crazy that I was like, I can't do this on my own. In order for us to accomplish something like this, I need somebody, because I was refused an animator for ages. Like, the intention was after 13, we hire somebody. And then we got to 13, Mario and Sonic, and it was like, no, you're going to keep doing this on your own. I was like, no, I'm not doing that.
He tried. No, but that's the thing, is like, you're kind of selling yourself short, because Ben still like would work his ass off on all these episodes. And like, I can't tell you how many late nights Ben would have to do because he's doing these animations, and like originally keyframed in Final Cut. And then he figured out a process to make little GIFs in Photoshop and bring those in, which sped you up a lot. But this episode specifically, like, nearly murdered Ben. Like, he was working so much on all of these different things that had to happen in that fight. And I've told the story a million times, but I will never forget coming into the office the next day, because I left you when you were working late, and I come in the next morning and Ben is literally passed out on his MacBook. On his desk.
Oh yeah, this is the MacBook days too. Oh
yeah.
All of this.
I actually remember
MacBook.
Really well, because that was 2011, and that was like a couple months after I was hired. I was hired like late-ish 2011, like hired full time, I guess. And that was like ramping up into the holidays when we had tons of AVGN DVDs. And so Chad and I were staying there late, and Ben was also there like every fucking night. We were there till like midnight shipping out boxes. Ben was just in the weird bullpen in the area in that first office or second office. And yeah, he would be there until like midnight. I remember that pretty well.
Yep, there were a couple of those. Is that and Goku versus Superman are the 2 times I've caught Ben who worked so to past the point of exhaustion that he passed out.
What?
Goku versus Superman. Okay, so let's talk about Goku versus Superman, because that obviously.
Well, Eggman Wily is the best received episode of season 1, so you did good work. Apparently,
yeah.
It's got a 96% like ratio.
The research on that was so funny too, man. I could talk about all these forever, but I'll do just a quick version of that. But that was Ben and I would. How the process would go is, Ben would do like the preliminary research and writing, and then I would come in and try and prove him wrong, just for the sake of argument. And so we would always sit down and have like our big debate where we're trying to make sure we have the correct verdicts. And I remember with this one, Ben and I kept going back and forth, and what kept happening, it was just like, well, yeah, but then he'll just use Metal Sonic. I was like, well, right, but then he'll just use Roboenza. And he's like, right. And then finally we were just like, so that's going to happen. So then I guess Roboenza would infect Metal Sonic and he'd win. And I remember, and we both just like, yeah, I guess. Like, we were like, because that's what we kept thinking. Like, there's no other way. Like, that's gonna happen. That's the end results of what these characters would do. And we're just like, Metal Sonic wins.
Especially at the time, like Metal Sonic has had several, many appearances since then. He wasn't quite as popular character for Sega at the time, but at the time, basically every appearance of Metal Sonic would result in some sort of betrayal in some way, except for a couple. So I was like, it totally fits. It totally makes sense that he would use them and it would go wrong. And the way that it's positioned with Wily specifically, Metal Sonic would just win. All right. and I know some people still think that was like scripted or whatever, you know.
It
like
wasn't.
We intended that to happen from the beginning. No, it wasn't. It just sort of worked out that way.
But that's why, and I think we did a great job in the host script too, of conveying like what our real feelings were, where both Whiz and Boomstick are also just like, Metal Sonic wins, like, you know, like, it was a lot of fun to work on, and you did a great job, Ben. It definitely belongs in the top 10.
It definitely, I'm definitely glad that I'm not, you know, doing everything anymore.
Yeah.
Especially back in the day when I had to do it all in 2 weeks.
Yeah, dude, I don't know. God.
Yeah, that I still think about that and think like, I don't actually know how I did that. I don't know if I could do that these days. But on to Goku versus Superman, because of course that is such an important
It's a
episode
milestone.
for us.
Yeah.
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 Dude.
Well, before we get to Goku versus Superman, because I think everybody thinks of Death Battle, or that's the episode everybody thinks of for obvious reasons. When they think of Death Battle, but like Goku vs. Superman is our most popular episode. It's got like over 40 million views or something like that, 50, I don't know. But the first episode that ever got 1 million views of all episodes was Goomba versus Koopa.
Yep.
And I love that.
Me too.
Goomba versus Koopa is one of my favorite episodes we've ever made. It will always have a special place in my heart and my mind, even though it's not that great of an episode.
I just remember Ben laughing about the fact that he's just like, I want to make this fight as epic as I can because these characters both have no business being in an epic fight. Like,
and this is like what, the 4th episode I made or something like that.
Something like that.
It was not. It was. I still had barely any experience with sprite animations, but I had enough that I was like, I could do something crazy. Sure, let's do it. We remember when we were talking about this episode because one of the things that we debated was Goomba versus the Burger Time hot dog. Right, that was the original idea.
Joke episode being pitched around. Yeah, the
And
fight would be like 10 seconds long.
I remember. So we talked. Well, they both just kill something in one shot, but they can't jump. But then I remember having this conversation with Ben and being like, but the hot dog can climb ladders. Because they both can only die if something jumps on their head. And so we're talking about being this ultimate stalemate because they both can't jump and they just keep running into each other. I'm like, but if the Burger Time hot dog can get to something he could climb, then it's fucking game over because then he just has to drop. And then he'll
So the plan was we were going to measure how fast each one could move. And see if the Burger Time hot dog could outrace the Goomba until they find a ladder and then climb the ladder and drop down. So this is actually interesting because the whole idea behind that episode is like a callback to the original idea of how animations were going to go. Because when Death Battle was first started and I first pitched the show, I had no animation experience. I'd never touched sprite animation before. I did a couple little things to practice and learn some basics. But especially in the early days, like getting an episode out every 2 weeks, I didn't have time to learn, new programs or anything like that. I barely knew anything about Adobe Flash. That's what it was called at the time. So I, had to use the tools that I had available, which is keyframing and freaking Final Cut. So the original intention of the fights were that they weren't going to be anything super special. They were going to be just sort of simplistic, almost RPG-esque, like
Kinda like
representations. Yeah, of battles. And I even had the thought that a lot of fights would probably work like a Pokemon battle, where they would just take turns and attack each other. That's why the first two fights have health bars. Is because the original intention was that the health bars were going to be what created the tension, and not the fight itself. But then I made Boba Fett versus Samus the third time, and I learned that I could do some depth of field stuff, and I was like, I can make this cool. And then when I made Akuma versus Shang Tsung, I added this moment. There's a very specific moment in the fight that changed how I would approach fights forever. And it's nothing special. It's just Shang Tsung turns into Akuma, and they have a Dragon Ball fight. That's it. Like, they just punch each other a bunch. And I remember finishing that and putting music to it and thinking, like, this is fucking awesome. And like, why would I ever want our fights to be so boring and dull? Let's make them cool.
Nick, I'm sure you remember Ben in this era. Like, I remember the room.
I remember all that. Yeah,
in the OG office, and like Ben would do something new and cool with his like animation or something, and then he'd come get us, and he'd be like, "Guys, come check this out." Yeah. And then we'd go crowd around his piece of shit MacBook. Like, I'm talking like this is before MacBook Pros, or we didn't have one.
It was a MacBook Pro. It was just the old MacBook Pro that was all one.
It was like the white case before they took on like the real clamshell.
No, it was my MacBook Pro. It was
that's right. You brought
one.
Yours in because you didn't want to work on the piece of shit white ones that we had.
Everybody else.
That was the whole reason why I got my own MacBook Pro at the time too, because I wanted something that I could actually rely on.
Yeah, and then Death Battle killed my MacBook, so that's fun.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I was doing it because I was constantly kind of surprising myself with what I was doing, because I expected the battles to be nothing really special, and the whole draw of the show would be the analysis or whatever, and then it turned into something entirely different, and that's why the original plan was Goomba versus Hot Dog, because like that would be simple. You know, it would be a fun, like a one-off quick joke that I could animate in like a day, and then move on to the next episode. But no, I had to make the fights epic. So I was like, what if we do Goomba versus Koopa, and they fly through the sky, and there's explosions and bullet bills, and Thwomp's trying to kill him, and it'll be great. And then I killed myself.
Hey, it worked out though. Like, especially then, like back then, 1 million views was just absolutely buck wild.
Yeah.
Like.
Now
1 million views, still great, but yeah, like it in 2010, 1 million views is fucking insane.
Yeah, at that point, I think it was probably like our third video ever at Screw Attack to hit like 1 million, because I think we had like 2 top 10s that had done it before, and that was like through game trailers though.
Yeah,
and we were not consistently posting on YouTube at the time. It was very new to us.
Okay, we're going slow because we only have 4. We have Superman Goku because I put it on there because I know we're going to talk about it.
I have Splash versus Rainbow Dash, Power Rangers versus Voltron, Wily versus Robotnik, Goku versus Superman, Goomba versus Koopa.
Goomba versus Koopa.
Nick, what's one that stands out to you?
I was just about to say, I kind of want to throw out a modern one, and those of you guys who know my taste in video games are going to find this perhaps slightly biased, but Saberwolf versus John Talbane.
Here it is.
That was,
I knew that was coming immediately.
Yeah. No,
what? It's like you don't want to talk about Blaze Blue? Are you sure?
I kind of don't a little bit. I mostly sort of don't want to talk about that one right now, but no, seriously, like Saberwolf versus John Talbane was like, I had no part in that episode. I helped Jardo get some footage. That was it, and I was really surprised, like shocked at how gory that fight was, but that's what made it so awesome. It kind of, in a way, sort of got back to like the really, really early days of Death Battle, where and I've mentioned this on the podcast here before, but where violence was like half the spectacle of what the show was. It reminded me of those days. It was kind of a throwback in a sense, but yeah, that fight was just super cool, and the analysis too. Ben, you weren't kidding when you said that had like one of the craziest calculations of the entire season. Measuring the weight of ancient Egypt or something like that. It was a really entertaining episode through and through. From every
didn't
aspect.
even really need to be included, to be honest, but like Lousy put that calc together and it was so ridiculous, and I was like, yeah, why not?
Can we get
hammer this victory home even more?
Yeah.
Can we get a yays and nays for Smokey Bear, Scruff McGruff?
Yay.
Because I feel like
Absolutely
that's a contender.
Yay.
It's all
It's
yays?
our first. It was our
Okay.
first collab with Blind Ferret. It's our first hand drawn episode. And it was so much fun. And also, it was a long time coming because Ben and I were at A-Kon and we were talking about like, hey, we got this panel and like, what do we want to do? Like, how can we make the panel like extra special for the people who come and see it?
I think this was 2013, maybe.
Dude, I don't remember the year. but
Probably around there.
I do remember though that like they put us in the main stage and we were still just like, we're like, I don't know how many people will be here, but like we want to make it special. We packed that bitch. Like every seat was full. I remember there were people standing, and so we had this just massive amount of people, and we were like, well, so we talked about like leaving it up to a vote of like, let's have people pitch death battles, and we'll decide on one that we'll do. We'll tell them like, we'll let the crowd talk. And so we had some people throw some out, and it came down to McGruff the Crime Dog versus Smokey Bear and Kirby versus Ditto. And then we had the crowd cheer based on those two that we had whittled down to. And McGruff versus Smokey was the one that won. And we were like, okay, we'll do it. And then afterwards, Ben and I were like, oh, fuck, how are we going to do this? Like, we don't have sprites.
It was the fan suggestion.
There's a reason we haven't done that since. That's sort of thing.
So I think that's a shoo-in. Moving
Yes.
next, I might be biased because and I think Luis will join me, but Samurai Jack, Afro Samurai, I did write that one,
Oh,
right? Let me
yeah,
look at the
that
wiki.
was-
I think I
Yes,
did.
yes, you did. Yeah.
No.
Yes, okay, I was the right one.
Yeah, I had to-
Thanks, Wiki.
I had nothing to do with that episode. I would put that one as a contender in my own personal top 10 if I was to.
Yeah,
do
I
one.
love that
Yeah,
one.
for sure.
I think
Dude.
that
Luis did an
that
amazing
and
job.
Batman Beyond versus Spider-Man 29 were probably my favorite episodes I like got to write and like research for.
I just think like, so the whole reason why Jack versus Afro happened, I think it was the Christmas party. I can't remember.
It was
Luis
Yeah.
just comes,
it was the Halloween party. I think.
Halloween party. Luis just
Yeah.
comes up to us and is like, hey, I have this idea that I really want to do. I really want to make a hand-drawn episode, completely hand-drawn, of Samurai Jack versus Afro Samurai. And we're like, can you do that? I think you had just joined it. Like, I don't know if you had you been with us for a year at that point?
For about a few months. Yeah, it was a few months. Yeah, it was.
Well, no, you'd been working with us for a
I
while,
think-
but you had just moved to Austin and like
Yeah.
been in office for a while. But we'd been working with you, and you'd been part of the community for years before that. So it wasn't like we
Yeah.
just met you.
Yeah,
No, but it was still very early on, I think, in your death battle career. So we were still sort of figuring out what I guess your limits were and what you really wanted to do. And I was like, if you think you can do it, let's do it.
Yeah, I can.
Later, I found out he was totally drunk when he did that.
I did. I was, and like, it's one of those things where, like, I definitely don't regret asking because, like, I feel like it really pushed me to try something completely new and get out of my comfort zone, and it just kind of it made me realize how much I really like to like try new things and like try
Yes, you do.
to do something new every single episode. Like if I'm not doing something like that I'm learning from with every single project, I feel like the amount of work that I put, like basically the amount of extra work that I put into those projects is feels like not as much as I could. So I always want to like push myself to just keep on like learning new things, pushing what I can do in those in the timelines that we have, and just kind of it really
And you
motivates
do.
me. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yep, and you do an amazing job, man. We knew so. Luis has a very fun hiring story because when Sean and I took over Screw Attack, we were like, all right, we know we want to get Luis in, and like because we really, Ben and I have talked forever about having an in-house 2D animator, and so like we go, and I remember we do the interview with Luis. You're all stoked. Luis had just moved. Like how long had you been there before like we gave you the offer?
I think it was 3 months.
Yeah,
Like
so-
I moved from Puerto Rico. It's not
Yeah.
like a small move. I didn't go down the street or anything. I jumped upon you know?
Yeah, and I'm just like, shit, because like if he just moved, like he's only been there for 3 months, like, you know, I'm thinking like lease, and he's with roommates. Luckily he didn't have a lease, but the roommates were counting on him paying, you know, and stuff. And I'm just like, God, he just got set up here. And I was like, well, we really want you to be in house. That's what we want you to come down. We want to hire you full time. And then when I remember spending all this time selling you on Dallas, Texas, and being like, don't worry, man, like we've all been here forever. Like we got a great group. We're gonna fit right in. Like, well, you know, because that was the other part for is that he's like, oh, I moved out here to do some friends and I didn't know anybody. And I'm like, well, we feel like we've known you forever. Like, don't worry, man. Like we all like hang out and have a bunch of fun. It's great. And he's just like, so finally he agrees. And he's just like, okay, I think I'm gonna do it. He's like, I gotta talk to my roommates, you know, whatever. And he's like, I think I'm gonna do it. I'm like, great.
HelloFresh, you know, America's #1 meal kit. These bad boys are bringing you pre-measured ingredients and mouth-watering seasonal recipes right to your doorstep. And that's helping you skip those stupid grocery store lines, and the whole experience. You ever gone to the grocery store? Not really worth it. Much better to get it at your doorstep. Not only that, HelloFresh out here making home cooking easy, fun, and affordable, which are all very good things. Plus, one thing I personally like about it is just the variety, the new things you get to try. Like, if I'm going to the grocery store, I'm never buying a persimmon. I don't know how to use a persimmon, but HelloFresh sends me a persimmon. They tell me how to use it. I'm like, oh, snap, these parses are delish. And that's awesome. And then, you know, not just that. Another really cool thing about HelloFresh is that if you go to hellofresh.com/80cast and use the code 80cast, you're going to get $80 off of your first order, including free shipping. That's $80 off at hellofresh.com/80cast. It's 80cast, CAST.com. Awesome stuff. Go there, hellofresh.com/80cast. Get $8 off. I don't know what more I can say. Great company, great food. It's dope. Go do it. It is wonderful.
Like the next week is when I get the call from Ezra, and he's like, hey, it's time for you guys to move down to Austin. And I'm just like, what? You know, and it's just like we know, like I know, it's like we knew this was like probably gonna happen at some point, but like right now everything's been going great. I'm like, I got another kid on the way, you know, like
you
and I was
just
like,
bought a house too, right?
Yeah,
like you just got into that Frisco house, like
yeah, luckily. And so I had been in there for like a year and a half. That was the other thing that was I was just like, no. And so anyway, so we work it all out and we get the timeline set, and then I just am like, right after all that, because that was crazy. I'm like, this could mean so many things with our staff, and like it's people uprooting their lives and everything. And then then after that, I'm like, oh fuck. I was like, I just convinced Luis to move here. And then I was like, and so then I had to get on a call with him again, and I was like, hey dude,
guess what?
Crazy scenario. And I was like, so we have like two
not
options.
Dallas.
Yeah, it's not Dallas. Sorry, this just got sprung on me, but I wanted to let you know as early as possible. And so then it became a thing of like, so we've got like, one, are you still interested? And I'm like, Austin's a great city. Don't worry, we're all going there. And I had to like redo the whole pitch. And he's like, yeah, I still want to do it. Like, I really want to come work for Screw Attack. And I was like, okay, cool. I was like, there's two things we can do, and I know you're probably not going to do one. I'm like, one is you can move at the time that we first set, and you can come, and you would be here for like a month, and then you'd move to Austin. I was like, or we can just wait. You can stay freelance, and then when we move to Austin, you move to Austin, and then that's what you ended up doing.
Yeah, I think that was a pretty smart decision. I wouldn't want to move to also move again. So yeah.
We do need two more because
Okay,
we're running out of time. I'm trying to keep us right on track.
I've got one. So we have a bunch of talk about animation and all that stuff. That's all well and good. That's amazing.
Yeah, going right where I was going to go.
Yeah,
live action.
Yeah.
They've done 2 episodes of this so far. I think my favorite of the 2 of them, both of them are top 10 contenders first and foremost. But my favorite of the 2 of them is definitely Winter Soldier versus Red Hood. That needs to be in the top 10. Yeah. I'm not budging on that.
Yeah, that has to be included.
Oh yeah, and every time, so we're still working with them. The plan is to keep working with Ismahawk and make episodes with them, because they're an awesome group of people and they're really good at what they do.
Oh my god! Yes.
And the intention is like each one is just going to keep getting better and better. The reason why Winter Soldier versus Red Hood is so good and so awesome is because they learned a lot of stuff from Nightwing versus Daredevil and applied those things to it. So the next one that they do with us should take things that they learned from Winter Soldier, Red Hood, and apply to that as well. Like, it's going to be really cool.
So
just sort of knocking out a couple real quick because we do have to move on. But I did want to do a quick shout out. Flash versus Sonic, I think is one of my favorites. I'm totally biased for
Super
that one
good.
though. Thanos versus Darkseid,
Very
incredible.
Dante Bayonetta.
Dante versus
Dante
Bayonetta, the
Bayonetta.
episode that got way out of hand, but all
I-
for
I'm-
good
I-
reasons.
When I-
Balrog versus
when I
TJ
think about-
combo.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. When I think about that Dante Bayonetta episode, though, I have to take apart the business side of me and just appreciate it from what a great episode it was. But the business side of me, and me just like, Torian, stop.
But speaking of Torian, All Might versus Might Guy, maybe
Yep.
his like masterpiece of death battle fights he's worked on.
other-
dude, so fantastic.
Well, like Nick said,
On
Balrog
another,
TJ
like-
combo, dude. That's
Yeah,
one of my
that
favorite
one's-
Torian fights, man.
Mhm.
On
Uh,
another 3D vibe, like Christina Christopherson in She-Ra versus Wonder Woman, I think it's pretty recent, but I think that's one of the best like
It's
fights we've
beautiful.
ever had.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
so
Yeah.
it looks so fucking good. It's so cool, and we had a lot of 3D help from like some
Dave.
of the Ruby crew and stuff on that one. Like Matt Dury and Nicole LaCroix and stuff, and like a lot of great people. But that one I think that was a fantastic like look at what we can do with 3D animation.
Oh, the Source Filmmaker guys. So we brought
Yeah.
them on for
Yeah.
Dracula versus Ganon, and we weren't really sure
Which
like
great.
if it would work out. Like we were like, SFM has so much more limitations compared to something like Maya or Unreal. Like, how's this going to look? And then they deliver
This amazing
gold.
Amazing
looks so
cinematic
good.
fight.
Because I remember
It's
you told me they were
incredible.
doing it in Source, and I was like, all right. And then we saw it, and I was like, holy shit! I was like, this looks
So-
amazing.
The reason why we've been working with them ever since. And then last one I want to mention is Deadpool versus the Mask, which I
Yep.
feel like is probably my favorite episode because it's sort of a culmination of a lot
Yeah.
of things that we've done over the years, a lot of things that I've worked on over the years, and addresses something more than just, a fight and tries to explore a little bit about like how Deadpool's presented, specifically inspired by some comments made when we made Deadpool versus Deathstroke, that people thought we were using the wrong Deadpool. We were using a Deadpool that was seen by the public and not the kind of like, how he actually is. And it was interesting to see those comments and think like, well, there kind of is two Deadpools. It's the same, character, but people interpret him in very different ways.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of the inspiration of Deadpool versus Mask. And I really like how that one turned out. I think the animation team did a kick-ass job with that.
Yep.
Can-
one that
can I
wanted
just
to
mention
toss out-
one?
Oh yeah, go for it, Lise.
I just want to mention, totally biased, but Scrooge versus Shovel Knight is a favorite of
Yeah.
mine.
Yep.
I
Sam wrote that
love,
one. I
like,
remember.
I
Did
I?
just
That one.
love
Oh,
that
shit.
retro.
So
Did you just say
Yeah,
Jedi?
that one's very good. I don't remember. That was years ago. Let me pull it up. I believe you're probably right. I think.
Yeah.
But
Me-
I would also say bias Ryu Jin. Yes, I did write it with Jessica Davis. But
Yeah,
I would
Jessica.
also say Ryu Jin. Like that's a fight where, just from my perspective, like getting to write it and then working with, being so collaborative on the process with like Omega Sparks and everything to like. And I know you did this too, Luis, on Miles Static Shock. Like
Yeah.
being extra collaborative with the musicians always helps the episode, and I think Ryujin and
Yeah.
Miles Static are like really good examples of that.
yes, absolutely. And actually All Might versus Mike Guy is a really good example
Yeah,
of that too.
yeah,
like
yeah.
Brandon and Aaron both jumping in for that one. And
Yeah.
who could ever forget Optimus versus Gundam with the
I-
best song ever
Favorite.
made.
Yeah,
I love that song. I remember back when we were in studio, we would have like music tracks running before like we went live, and I remember getting Mike to get that song just because I wanted it to be the last thing that we heard before we went live, so that we could get our energy up and like rock out to it.
All right, we're gonna keep going with this because I think we've got a lot of good conversation
Yeah.
happening right now.
Oh,
we
for
can
sure.
save the community death battle for later because I honestly don't know what we would do next. So the community death battle that we are that people are talking about right now is Steven Universe versus Star Butterfly, and actually I think this is worth two weeks on because it is a very complicated matchup that could make a really good death battle episode. And so I'm very curious to see what you all
I
think
just
about that.
scrolling through the comments, there was a lot of interesting arguments, which isn't always the case with comments on
Yeah.
Twitter. But yeah, I think it's probably a pretty solid one. It seems
Yeah.
fun. I don't
So-
really know anything about either character, but it seems pretty cool.
We will keep that community death battle going for one more week. And let us know who you think should win between Steven Universe and Star Butterfly from Star versus the Forces of Evil using hashtag Death Battle Cast on Twitter or responding to the poll. And then we will cover that next week. But for now, we need to lock down our top 10, I guess. Like,
Oh, man.
we've thrown out
We
so
didn't
many
even talk about.
ideas.
I didn't even talk about He-Man versus
We're-
Rhino yet.
Or
We're
Chucky
at
Norris versus
time.
Sega to Sanchiro.
We're at time.
No, we're
we
not.
could lock down. We could lock down the 10 in sudden death.
Oh man.
No,
Okay.
that is like
and then force you
No.
to sign up for a first membership. I
I
got
was
you
gonna say,
now.
man, what a-
viewer. You got done. You're done.
Turns
Get
out
in,
that
okay?
turns out that looking over 130 plus episodes of Death Battle is a little bit hard. To
Takes a
lock
little
down
bit more
all
than
that.
40 minutes.
Yeah, a little bit.
There's so many fun episodes. I mean, like, there are some episodes that I look back on and I think, oh, we could have done that better. But
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
I do
for sure.
really. I'm so proud of you guys and this team. I think, and everybody at Rooster Teeth, because, like, especially since, like, I don't know, there was definitely, like, points during Death Battle's production where it was just like felt like the team that we could get was so small, like our resources were dwindling, and we weren't sure like what we would be able to do. And then we joined Rooster Teeth and got merged in with their animation department. And like, sure, if somebody's like, "Oh, I miss Screw Attack days," whatever, that's fine. But like, I don't. Like, Rooster Teeth has done so much good for Death Battle, and it's been incredible working with being a part of the animation department. And that's why I think the last season and the season before that, in particular, are so, like, I think there's been a giant leap in quality, and so many cool animators, and the sound design team under Chris and the musicians, and there's so many people working on Death Battle now that it's crazy to think about, you know, how it started. And we look back at something like, you know, Power Rangers versus Voltron, and how crazy that was with so few people working on it, and us not having like a system, a team behind all these different parts of it. And nowadays, it's a completely different story. Like, we could make Voltron versus Megazord easy. We just like put the team on it. Man, it's crazy to think about the difference. How different it has become. And how much more, I don't know. I feel like because of that, I'm a lot more passionate about the show than I was, you know, a couple years back. And that's great. But I don't know. It just is really cool to me. And I appreciate you all so much for helping make this show happen for so long and not like get sick of it.
Yeah,
10
I mean,
years.
anyone who's written on the show has definitely felt the burn.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've been there.
You're like, Ben,
happens to
Nick,
all of us at some
Sam.
point,
I
yeah.
remember every single person. I remember having conversations where you're
It
just
is
like,
funny
oh.
though, like
it's
there's
just so
definitely
much.
after you do like quite a few of them, it gets really like it gets tiring. But now, like this conversation and looking back of them, I'm kind of like, I could write one of these right now. That sounds fun. I could do that again. Like I miss it. It's been long enough for me at least, where I'm like, hell yeah, let's
Yeah.
get back in there.
Well,
And
again, and all of us here worked on the show when we didn't have the full resources that we do right now. Just the ability to just like go talk to, you know, anybody who's an expert in any part of the production and have them help you know, work on it, and be this like larger puzzle that's being put together, as opposed to us just trying to make things happen. Like there's so much more confidence in what we can do. There's so much, you know, we actually have sponsors who are willing to pay for this show to happen, which is crazy. And I don't know, it's just so cool.
You know, dude, I remember we got that Rev 3 deal. That was crazy. That was awesome. That's
yeah,
a real,
Back in the day.
that
I
was
don't know how
really
that
years
came
ago.
about, but
That was
really
Craig,
cool.
I'm pretty sure.
Mhm.
But yeah, man, it was it's been a wild ride. And I love voicing Boomstick. I love doing VO anyway, but like this character, obviously I've been doing it for 10 years, which is still just insane to me. And like there's never a time where I'm just like, oh god, like I have to go voice Boomstick. Like never what. Like I love playing the character. It's so much fun. And I look forward to keep voicing him for however long the show goes on for.
Yes,
Here's to another 10 and then some.
Yeah, for sure.
absolutely.
And
you know
like,
what? I know we just said that we shouldn't make a new community death battle.
you want to throw out Whiz versus Boomstick now?
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking
See, this
about.
is the other thing. Ben and I have been voicing these characters together and working together for so long that, like, this is what it's like in the booth. It's just like we instinctively know what the other person is about to do.
Okay. Here's what we're gonna do. So, Star versus Steven Universe is something we will cover next week because I think there's gonna be a lot to talk about for that. But I also want to talk about Whiz versus Boomstick. So we will have a double community death battle feature on next week's episode of Death Battle Cast, as well as a Q&A. Oh my God, there's gonna be a lot going on. So we'll just skip what's going on for that one. So let us know who you think should win between Whiz and Boomstick. The fight that we've talked about will always be the series finale of Death Battle. Maybe I don't.
If it
who
ever
knows
happens
that
at
ever
this
happens.
point, like
But Whiz and Boomstick have been building up some lore, especially recently. I mean, we've always had random weird lore from like our bloopers and stuff like that, or previews.
That's the thing you got to dig through. There's some wild shit in there. Like we've said some dumb stuff.
We would just make shit up,
Yeah.
like on the fly, and be like, "Oh yeah, I think like Boomstick's shotgun leg was just like some random like one-off joke that we made up on the fly."
Yeah,
And now
that was the Doom
part of them.
episode, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the super shotgun.
Yep. Specifically, it is the Doom 2 Super Shotgun.
That's the
Boomstick's
shotgun
leg.
that Boomstick has attached to his leg. Yeah. So let us know who you think should win between Wizard and Boomstick.
There we go.
I guess we'll have a pull up. Well, you know how we.
This
do
is gonna be fun because
We'll
this is
have
gonna
a
be
pull up Friday afternoon, like we usually do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The arguments will be fun for me to look back on all the dumb things that we've said in
Oh my
previews. Like that is where
God.
it's gonna come from. I'm telling you now. It's like look at all the previews and
Mecha Goose wins, right? Like that's already done.
The Mecha Goose is under Wiz's control, or as much of control as he does have. Every time, I guess he's only appeared once, right? Whenever he appears, it's blown up, right? or it attacked everybody.
the Cypher's like Wiz has a symbiote. We did something. Didn't you give Boomstick like flash powers or some shit?
Oh yeah, he drank the Speed Force.
Yeah, I drank the
my
speed.
God.
Yeah, yeah, I remember joking about that because I saw that in the script, and I go, "You really want to do that?" I was like, "Wiz versus Boomstick, like that's insane, dude."
And very briefly, She-Ra powers too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
Boomstick consumed a lot of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, but Dummy
Anyways,
works for Wiz. He's
yeah.
under Wiz's command, so maybe Dummy can
But
throw
he doesn't
something
seem
off.
very useful.
Probably not. No. But all right. So next week
yeah,
we'll
we
have a big
close it up.
conversation. We'll do the big serious Star versus Steven matchup, and then we'll jump into this ridiculous nonsense. But let us know who you think should win and why using hashtag #DeathBattleCast, and we'll cover that. Thank you all so much for tuning in to this episode. It has been a blast working on the show for so long, and it's thanks to you for supporting us for so long.
Oh yeah,
So,
for sure.
Just to wrap things up, please remember, be kind to others, be kind to yourself, be awesome. Thank you. We'll see you all next week.
See you guys.